Okay, I actually kind of griefed. Shoot. Oh, I trolled so hard. He hit level 5.
If this is you and you play this matchup, don't worry, me too. Yo, alrighty guys, welcome back to a matchup guide for Garen.
Today we're going to be covering the Mordekaiser matchup as of the most popular request right here. So yeah, let's get into it. Mordekaiser is a scary champion, and for this reason, many Garen players for a while have went for phase rush versus him to survive laning phase. However, I believe you can beat Mordekaiser, you just have to respect the abilities rather than respecting the champion entirely. I think phase rush is perfectly fine if you want to simply scale up and not limit test, but if you are a Garen main, I highly recommend trying out the Conqueror playstyle I will be showcasing in this video. For summoner spells, I think you should always go Flash Ignite since it gives you kill pressure and it's great to help you finish them off when you get them low for an all-in. For your items, I recommend going Doran's Blade if Mordekaiser chooses anything other than Ignite. But if he goes Ignite, Doran's Shield is better since you'll want every little bit of HP you can get. Mordekaiser is a spooky champion, but at level 1, he is very much fightable. This is why I recommend going into the bush if you're sure your jungler won't get invaded. This can lead to a really nice trade where you can surprise him if he face checks you, or you can just walk directly at him with your wave. Both are fine. If you get a chance to close the gap and fight him, make sure you do it inside of the minion wave so that his Q isn't isolated. It does way more damage if you don't have a minion next to you. Getting a chunky trade like this at level 1 can be really nice, just make sure you walk away after your E is on cooldown since his auto attacks and passive have no cooldown. His passive gives him a little bit of move speed after he activates it, so make sure you're not too far up when he's about to activate it. When you play versus Mordekaiser, you want to dance in and out of his hitbox range. You can see right here where I'm clicking back and forth over and over at roughly the cone of where his Q skill shot is, so that I can bait it out and then maybe get some space to take a CS or trade with him. Make sure you track his Q and his E cooldown after he uses it, so that you know exactly when you can walk in and out. It's important to think of Mordekaiser like a Dark Souls boss. Whenever his Q or his E are down, you don't want to overcommit once you get the opening to get a hit. Garen is tied to his cooldowns, and Mordekaiser has way better sustained damage than him, so you have to run away if you aren't able to burst him. The best way to think about it is that Mordekaiser is just a worse Darius. You can get these kinds of nice short trades, but he does still have that innate strength where he's really good in long trades, so you have to make sure that every single short trade butters him up for a good all-in opportunity. Make sure you do not fight through his W shield unless you're confident you can kill him through it. It does have a 12-second cooldown, so if you can get rid of it, you do get a little bit of time where he might not have that white bar stacked up, and then you can take advantage of that. Post level 6 is where things really start to get scary. Mordekaiser has an insane all-in tool, which is his R, of course, and you get trapped like a rat. His Death Realm can be used as gank setup as well. He doesn't even need to have his W stacked up. He can just R you and then just kind of stand there and wait for his jungler to be on top of you. Another scary part is that all it takes is for him to get one pull, and then you're in a situation where you might have to flash or pretty much just die just because he's able to run you down. If the Mordekaiser player goes this combination of plated steel caps and ignite, you have to play pretty safe most of the time unless he uses his abilities really proactively. The only way you'll be able to beat him if he has this kind of setup is by dodging multiple abilities and playing very patiently. It gets easier when you rush Berserker Greaves because then you can start to predict where he's going to throw his Q and actually use that move speed to dodge it, and it's even easier with Stridebreaker move speed. So as a baseline, you just want to farm if you aren't confident and you aren't sure if you're going to be able to dodge an ability or not. It's completely okay since you do outscale him, and we'll get into that right now. One of Garen's biggest strengths, and specifically a strength over Mordekaiser that he has, is his wave clear and his movement around the map. Now be very careful when you do this because he can R you and trap you, and then you will get ganked by his jungler, or you will just simply die to him. So make sure you are always checking what his range will be if he's nearby. But overall, Mordekaiser is a very slow champion, so you can usually get away with this if you want to ignore him. However, if you have an ignite or ult advantage over the Mordekaiser, you should almost always try and punish him unless he's up like a ton of stats on you. You can see in this all-in where all I really have is a Tiamat longsword and a D-blade, and I can actually still kill him here. So even if there's perfectly good reason to be scared of Mordekaiser, you can still find these little windows sometimes. This matchup only gets easier as the game goes on, since Garen has some crazy itemization options. You can basically go this 1v1 build that forces Mordekaiser to sideline versus you, and you are so strong because you have all of this armor pen and infinity edge damage just right at your disposal. Like even with the Soraka, look at that. That's crazy, isn't it?
However, if you find that build to be too slow and you'd like to play with your team, then you can always go Phantom Dancer second and then just play for tempo by pushing waves and ignoring Mordekaiser. It can be a lot better to play like this if you fell behind early game. So to sum up the mid to late game, if you want to split push and go full damage build, that is completely doable. You can pretty much dive him under the tower at a certain point unless he builds Randuins. And you can also go for a team fighting rotation type of build where you go PD to have move speed around the map and wave clear. That's completely doable if you want. Just make sure you always avoid Mordekaiser in that instance and just play around tempo.
Alright, that's about it, gamers. Let me know if you have any questions about this matchup in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!
Spin it, spin it.